Hey guys, what's up? How's it going? Thanks for coming back. So in today's video, we're gonna make it nice, short, and straight to the point. We're gonna talk about everything you're gonna need to axle swap your OBS to 05 Plus axles. So let's get right to it. So obviously, I've never done this before, but I have researched the heck out of this for the past like 4 years, at least since I've had the truck. Probably actually I'd like this swap even before I had the truck. Like even before I bought my truck, I knew that I wanted to swap these axles onto my truck. And like I said, now we're finally doing it. And like I said, I want to talk about everything that I know that you're gonna need for this swap, at least everything that I know so far. And obviously, you know, things are gonna change. You know, as I go and actually swap the axles, we'll talk about this again. But for right now, I'm gonna show you everything that I have right now to do the swap. So hopefully I have everything. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the most obvious, which is your axle. And technically you only need your front axle to axle swap your truck. But the problem with doing it with just your front axle is that your bolt pattern on your wheels is different. On the rear, I believe it's 8 by 6.5. Correct me if I'm wrong. And well, not your OBS. Your OBS has 8 by 6.5. And Super Duties went to 8 by 170. So if you only swap the front and not the back, you're either gonna have to run different wheels or buy adapters for your rear end. So another thing, you need the axles, and you're most likely gonna need, like I said, wheels. Not just because you have a different bolt pattern, but also because the Super Duties, you need at least 17-inch wheels to fit the brakes in order to make them work. So you need front axle, you need wheels, and that's at a minimum. What I did actually is I got a rolling chassis. I got a pretty good deal on it. I believe I picked it up last year for around $1,500, if I'm not mistaken. So it was a pretty decent deal. Like I said, we got the front and the rear axle and basically everything that attached to it. So all the steering, the control arms, all of our suspension, well, at least most of our suspension. So I thought that was a pretty decent deal. Now the axles did need quite a little bit of work. But like I said, I was actually glad to do that because now we have an axle that's gonna be in really good shape, that looks really good, and that should be under our truck for a long time in good shape. So anyways, like I said, you can either just pick up the axle and buy the rest of the parts after the fact, or you can buy a rolling chassis and use everything that rolling chassis has. Now, if you buy the rolling chassis or a wrecked truck, anything like that, basically the only part that you might need to buy is gonna be your track bar bracket. And so like the name implies, this is the bracket that holds your track bar. So that's a very, very important part. It's actually one of the most important parts to the whole swap to make sure that you're safe. Now, I say that you might need to buy one of these. If yours comes with this, some guys have actually been able to modify it in a way that it works with their OBSs. And basically, from what I understand, is that they'll notch this section right here to make clearance for the pinman arm and the steering box. So like I said, I've heard that you can make this work, but I went a different route. Now, I know I'm all over the place with this. One last thing about the axles: 05 to 07 versus 08 to 10 versus 11 and up. You basically want to stay with axles from 05 to 10, at least the front, because when you go 11 and up, the way that they do their speedo changed, and you can't really, or at least I don't know of a proper way to use 11 and up axles on the OBSs and still have your speedometer, which is basically what this sensor is right here. You want to swap this for the one in your axle to actually have a speedometer. But anyways, other than that, the 08 to 10 axles have longer rear leaf springs. So these are about 8 inches longer than if these were like an 05 to 07, they'd be 8 inches shorter. So the 05 to 07, they should mostly just bolt right in place of the OBS leaves, and that's even if you want to change your leaf springs. You don't even have to change them at all. You can just run your OBS leaf springs with the Super DD axles. Now, if you are like me, that you got the longer leaf springs, you're gonna have to cut off your front leaf spring hanger and move it forward about 8 inches. As far as I know, that's basically it for differences between 05 through 07 and 08 through 10. Now, if there's more differences, obviously let me know down below in the descriptions. Now, that's stuff that you can get, OEM with your axles. Now I want to talk about stuff that you might need to buy. So I got all these nice shiny parts right here from the guys over at Absolute Diesel Performance. I'll leave a link to them down below, and they're actually a pretty cool company. They specialize in power strokes. In my opinion, they have one of the best and most reasonably priced kits to swap your truck to OBS to 05 plus axles. There's other companies, obviously. There's RYD and there's Sky. I believe those are the other two that I know that sell kits, but they are expensive, like really, really expensive kits. And I mean, I get it, it's kind of going in a way sort of like name brand. RYD has worked on some pretty amazing trucks. Actually, one of them, I believe, won one of the categories at SEMA last year. And if you're into OBSs, I know that you've seen that truck. It is beautiful. It's super lifted, like huge wheels, huge tires, completely custom chassis that I believe RYD built for it too. So that kit is basically one of the most expensive kits, but it's one of the most recognized, and it's super high quality. It's a great kit. And not to say that any of the other kits aren't high quality. I believe that Absolute, Sky, and RYD all have really good quality kits. Absolute has the best prices that I found when I was shopping around. And basically what I got is their track bar bracket. This right here should bolt right, well, not bolt right in. You still got to drill some holes and all that, but it's a bolt-in deal. And it's also a drop bracket, so it's a little bit longer than the 08 bracket. So here you can see a little comparison. So this is from the bottom of your chassis to where your track bar would mount. And this is Absolute's track bar. So as you can see, it's about 3 inches lower than the 08 track bar. So you can try and make that work, or you can go with these. Now, I just think that this is a much better looking piece, and it's gonna work better with our trucks. So that's why I bought this. Now, if you have a CF5 manual truck like I do, there's one part that you need to get, and that's gonna be your transmission crossmember. And basically the reason why you need it is because the way that your transmission crossmember mounts on the outside of the frame, basically directly where your radius arm brackets need to go. So what this does is it replaces your crossmember with this whole brand new amazing looking one that will actually mount on the inside of your frame. So like I said, if you've got a manual truck, a CF5, you need this. If you have an automatic, you'll be good. One more thing that I know you need is basically you need to rim your pivot arm so that it fits the drag link on the 05 Plus steering. Now, another thing that you can do that's super easy, and I highly recommend you do, is you can actually switch out your entire steering gearbox for the 05 Plus. And as far as I know, it should be mostly a bolt-in deal. I know that you gotta rim out the holes on the frame a little bit to fit the bigger bolts that the 05 Plus uses. But your steering shaft should bolt right into the box. I believe you have to modify the hoses a little bit, but I'm not 100% sure. But it's one of those upgrades that you'll really benefit from better steering. And if anything ever goes wrong with your pivot arm, instead of it being a custom piece, it's something that you can go to AutoZone, grab a new one, and slap it right in. So you won't have that extra pain of having to make a custom part. Now, another thing that I did purchase from Absolute Diesel was a whole bunch of bolts. These should be enough to install most of our brackets on the truck. And I did that because they actually offer a pretty good deal on these things. I forgot, to be honest, how much I paid for these. I'm pretty sure it would be less than what it would cost me to go to Ace or Home Depot or whatever and buy this hardware from them. So I did go ahead and order up, you know, this whole box full of them to go ahead and get that done. And one more thing that I got is a U-joint. And if I'm not mistaken, this one actually, you use that on your front drive shaft to adapt it from the OBS to the Dana 60. And I also got that from them. Like I said, I tried. I know this, just by looking at how long I've been recording for, this has already gone on way longer than I wanted it to go. And I know that I missed a whole bunch of stuff, but I also know that there's a bunch of you that have already done this. And what I would love for you guys to do is leave down comments with tips, with any information that I missed and that anyone, including me doing this, should really know. So go ahead, drop a comment down. Also, leave a like, because this video is basically over. So we'll see you on the next one. Again, don't forget, leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and we'll see you for the next one.